All right. Thank you so much for joining me, Adam. I'm really excited to showcase your journey into consulting.
Thank you, Yash. I'm excited to be here today, and I look forward to diving in here and giving everyone a little bit more background about myself and what I do.
All right, let's get started. So question one for you, Adam. Can you tell me what you do as a coach?
Sure. So as a coach, I'm someone who steps in as a growth coach who helps individuals and groups achieve life and career growth. A lot of times what I feel and what my sort of belief is here is that personal and professional growth can seem out of reach. So people tend to get stuck in a rut or not feel confident enough to take on challenges and actually execute. So through my own deep experience, my assistance sort of in my background of my corporate career within leadership and growing, and also having a deep bench of resources, I provide learning opportunities to help people reach their full potential while also build mental fitness. So it's a growth coaching practice. I really feel there are 4 keys to sort of unlocking that growth. You have to look inside yourself to understand where you want to go. So I help to guide that process, but we also work on establishing goals, working through learning, using a feedback loop, and also sharing my superpower is networking. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But using that networking piece to help you drive your growth trajectory and your success within your life, career, or whatever the case might be.
This is really cool. Tell me why did you start this coaching practice, and when did you start it?
Sure. I started the practice after spending about 2 decades in the corporate world, in the marketing, sort of a nonlinear career working across large organizations. But where this idea sort of stemmed from was throughout that career and through the leadership opportunities within that corporate career, what I always loved more than anything were 2 things. One was building relationships and really, really taking those and using them to drive success within those roles. But also in terms of my team leadership and managing teams of up to 15 people, it was always about giving them the tools to succeed in their role right now, but also giving them the tools that are going to help them land the next role and then the role after that. So I've always had a deep sense of mission to drive success and growth for people and helping to give them the tools. And really that stems back to why I launched this coaching practice. I've been up and running for about 9 months now. It's been sort of a bumpy road, just like anything you start new, but a lot of what I bring to the practice also is helping to drive accountability with those clients. So giving them, just like I'm trying to give myself, the same influence of actually executing and continuing on that path. It takes a long time to build a business. It takes a lot of resolve. It takes a lot of resilience to succeed there. And I'm learning and doing that in the 9 months that I've been live here, but I'm also helping to guide founders, entrepreneurs, or people who are on the corporate side in terms of being accountable and continuing to execute towards whatever their goal might be. That can be anything from a career pivot to, I've launched a company and I need someone with the energy and accountability to help guide me and give me some tools to succeed, or just anyone who's looking to sort of recharge to a greater level within their life or their career.
I like how you framed it. Just anybody who's looking to recharge their life and their career, because these moments, these pivotal moments in the career, can be really transformational, and having a coach like yourself can make it so much easier.
Just driving transformational change is what I love to see within people. It's so satisfying for myself to start to see people gain that confidence and start to execute towards their goals, towards transformation. I did want to highlight also the mental fitness side of it, because mental fitness is a big piece of it, and balancing negative mindset versus positive mindset is a big piece of what drives success with these clients that I have, and just generally with people who are looking to grow themselves within the world.
Love it. And tell me, who are typically your clients, and also tell me, like, where do you find them? What sources, what places have you had success getting new clients from?
Sure. So the clients that I've sourced, they tend to run across a number of different areas. I work with a number, again, of founders and entrepreneurs who are building their business, operating either in an independent nature or a co-founder sort of a space. and they need that accountability partner. Also because I've spent my corporate side of my career working with big clients in the marketing world, I have a really good framework and an understanding of the business world, so I can help guide some of the strategic decision making with those founders and entrepreneurs. As I mentioned, also, I've got some career pivoters. So I'm someone who really believes in ongoing learning. That's a part of why I joined the Mylance community as well. But I always feel like there's an opportunity to learn and grow throughout your own career. So there are a lot of people in this world right now who are looking to make a move into something that satisfies an altruistic nature within themselves, whether it's moving into climate work or it's moving to organizations that align with your personal viewpoints. And I love to help guide those people as well, because there are a lot of changes where you can become more satisfied within your life and your career by working on things that actually matter to you in your core.
Like this.
In
And
terms of finding those clients, Yash, though, I use my own personal network a lot. My superpower is networking, and that's one of the biggest platforms that I use to drive my business. There are a couple strategies that I put into place there that I can talk about, but LinkedIn is a big tool that I use. I do use Mylance and the communities that I'm within, like Mylance, to help drive success within the business. Ultimately, what I've seen, though, in a lot of the clients that I've picked up, it ends up starting with one coffee chat conversation that leads to that person thinking about someone else that they connect me with, and then that person connects me with a third person, and that person ends up being the client that I land. So it's fun to push that sales, but also the key to really doing it is driving it genuinely and authentically. And I'm not trying to necessarily sell myself to a lot of people. And that's how a lot of the best clients that I've gotten land in my lap is I'm not selling. I'm really just being my genuine, authentic self. And then they want to work with me and they sign up and they move forward. And those are again, are the most fun, satisfying clients that I have within my coaching portfolio.
Okay, so I am really I have two follow-up questions there. The first one, I'll start with the latest one first. So you mentioned that you're not trying to sell people, and how often the clients that you land are actually 3 degrees removed from the person that you're having the coffee chat with. This is super interesting, because what typically happens is people, when they have a lead come in, we treat it as a sales call and we try to convert that. But I think your approach is a little different. Can you speak about that a little?
Yeah, my approach is I've got my framework of how I talk about my coaching business, but genuinely when I walk in and connect with anyone, I approach it from a my network is yours standpoint. And I always ask the questions about where people come from, really try and use active listening and asking the right questions to understand what they need help with. And that opens up that conversation to a different level. Throughout my corporate career, the relationships that I built, that I valued more than any of the others, were the ones that started in a difficult place. It was someone who was either stubborn or saying no all the time. And I had to chip away slowly at that. And then it ultimately paid off in terms of a great working relationship. Not saying that it's the same challenge in this place where I am this day with my coaching business, but I love to help others open themselves up so that I can provide my own expertise and input to help guide them. It's a really genuine intent to knowledge share. And it's a personal relationship kind of a thing versus a sales and a buyer, salesman and a buyer relationship. It's a little bit of a different lens on how to do it.
I love this. I love this so much. And the second question that I had was, you mentioned that you employ some networking strategies. Tell us about those networking strategies.
I mean, networking strategies are what drive me. I'm actually working right now on launching a course with Maven called Ignite Your Networking Superpower that takes some of those strategies into play. But it comes down to, understanding who your targets are. Who do you want to talk to? I've got this really innate ability that I'm bringing to this course of generally hitting around a 90% connection rate with anyone that I end up reaching out to. And what that comes down to are some really simple strategies of intentionality from a genuine and authentic standpoint that pay off. And I'm speaking in the lens generally more often than not about LinkedIn and driving connections through LinkedIn. But that's really what works. It's that genuine, authentic reach out and nature that drives those from into such a strong place. The other thing that I've picked up through my corporate career is that really the worst answer that you're going to get from anyone when you ask for something is no. You're either going to get no response or a no. There's nothing wrong with someone telling you no. You shouldn't take that as you're doing something wrong. That is just an opportunity to iterate and get better and let it roll off your shoulders and walk on to the next one. So I think that confidence has really helped me transform my approach to driving this networking superpower. And I'm really excited through that Maven course again to help provide some of those tools and strategies to people who might not feel as confident or might not be hitting that same mark in terms of building their network.
That is very interesting. I'll be looking out for that networking superpower Maven course announcement in our community.
It'll be fun. I promise.
Okay, I have two more questions for you. What made you go from working as a full-time employee to working as a consultant?
So I went from, I actually had sort of a moment after, again, 2 decades working in the marketing world across agencies. I worked at Microsoft. I worked in the B2B cybersecurity sort of tech space for a few years. What I realized was after that period of time, wanted to build something on my own. I knew that if I wasn't going to do it now, and there were a few things that happened that caused that to be where I went. I won't dive into those too much here, but it was looking inward, following myself, listening to these signals, listening to my own belief box, which is a part of my coaching practice as well, led me to a point of understanding, if I don't do this, I turn 40 in September. If I don't do this now, I'm never going to do it and I'm going to regret it. So it's time to execute. And luckily, I've got great support from my family and my wife at home. We've got some flexibility there to do this. And I just went ahead and do it. And I know anything that you build takes time as well. So 9 months of this being up and running feels like a long time, but the road ahead is wide open and going to be a lot longer looking forward. So keeping that frame of mind and that frame of reference is important in this journey as well.
I love this. I love how you put this and how you thought about actually making this jump and doing something so that you don't regret it later on.
I actually used a tool called the regret minimization framework as one of the biggest points in this decision. So one of I think the greatest examples of that being used is Jeff Bezos starting to step away from the full-time world to build Amazon. Not necessarily that that's what I want to do. You can talk about Amazon being great, but also being evil at the same time. But there's inspiration that comes from using that regret minimization framework to really understand, hey, I could do this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Love it. And final question, Adam, you've been a super active member of the Mylance community. So can you just speak a little bit about what made you join this community and how's it going?
Yeah. So when I left the corporate world, I was looking for, for that community. I'm someone who hugely values community in everything that I do. And I found Mylance as a great platform to amplify consulting and freelance working. I signed up for it. I built my HQ. I will fully 100% admit I don't use it as much as I probably could. But the community aspect of it is one of the biggest things that I have recognized being a value proposition for Mylance, because I mean, outside of just having, Bethany as the tax consultant, as a resource, there are a lot of wonderful people to ask questions to, and network with, and build really strong connections with, to help understand where you go, build resilience, build accountability, and build a learning process for how you build this kind of a business. It can be pretty lonely working as a consultant, working as a coach, working alone, but having those communities like Mylance and having those networks of supportive people makes it not feel as lonely.
I love this, Adam. I love that the community makes you feel less lonely. That is exactly what I've been trying to do there, and it's great to hear that it's working. So this is the final question. This was the final question, Adam, and thank you so much for joining me for this quick interview.
Thank you, Nick. It's been a blast. Yep, and if I would love to connect with anyone out there. That's, again, my networking is my superpower. So reach out to me if you want to connect.
All right.